democracy, the Olympic Games, benchmarks of modern society. Yet their roots go back millennia, all the way to the ancient Greeks. The Romans have given us modern legislature and a sophisticated infrastructure. While the Vikings established elaborate trading networks and discovered America well before Columbus. They've all helped forge a new world. The Greeks, the Romans, and the Vikings are the founding fathers of modern Europe. Around 3,000 years ago, the biggest empire of the ancient world is born in a damp, swampy basin on the shores of the Tiber. At first, few people settled the mosquito-ridden hills of Rome. But within just a few centuries, the Romans have taken over all of Italy and beyond. The former malaria nest eventually rules over more than 50 provinces. At the height of its power, it includes a quarter of the then-known world. The empire stretches from Scotland right across Germania's endless forests, all the way to the Black Sea and North Africa. Even the mighty Egyptians have to bow to Rome. 60 million people have to surrender to the conquerors. Hundreds of thousands of well-equipped soldiers defeat one people after another. Their weapons are the best in the world. Their military is perfectly organized. The Romans beat the barbarians in the north, overrun the kingdoms of the east, and even subjugate the powerful Syrian regent. Nothing and nobody can put a stop to the Imperium Romanum. Rome's power depends on its legionnaires. Their job varies substantially within each province. Along the Rhine, the soldiers are more like builders than warriors. Border fortifications like the Limes are major building sites for years at a time. Further north, the legionnaires have to face the cold as well as violent locals who are far from happy about the intruder's presence. Some of them also take on administrative duties in the new territories. There's work for them throughout the empire, but most are stationed in the border areas. There are 28 legions during the time of the emperors. That's 170,000 men, plus the same again in support troops. In Rome, the legionnaires' achievements are immortalized in stone. Trajan's column still stands at its original site in the center of the city. There are dozens of plaster casts of the triumphal cenotaph in the Museo della Civiltà Romana. They help us understand how the legions functioned. Alexandra Busch of the German Archaeological Institute in Rome specializes on Roman military. Here the Roman legionnaires are shown during the construction of an encampment. They weren't just involved in the construction of their own quarters, but also in the development of the land. They built roads and bridges. Legionnaires didn't fight constantly. In fact, they might not see a battle for years at a time. Instead, they went on patrol, served as messengers, organized customs traffic. And that's why it was so attractive to serve in the Roman army. Wherever the Roman legions go, they quickly construct a fortress. Here, far away from home, the soldiers guard the empire's borders. Battles are very rare, but when the time comes, they're well prepared. Their weapons are unbeatable. Their throwing lances glide over 15 meters and penetrate any shield. If pulled out, they break, handicapping the enemy. Artillery machines with tension springs catapult stones up to 300 meters. And the Romans invent landmines. Crow's feet make it impossible to traverse the battlefield. They even use biological weapons. Burning bundles of wood are tied between the horns of cattle, and the animals are driven into enemy lines, in the hope they don't suddenly decide to turn round. When a legion is transferred or goes to war, it's a huge logistical challenge. The defeated locals have to supply provisions for many hundreds of legionnaires and their animals. The majority of their harvest goes to the occupying forces, as do water, draft animals, and wagons. Keeping the legions moving is a gigantic task. The army needs to be sustained even in the most remote provinces of the empire. Thousands of heavily laden soldiers march up to 30 kilometers a day. Often, the Romans simply cut a straight passage through uninhabited land. It's not unusual for them to erect their camps right in the wilderness, and they leave their marks. The construction of the forts and the need for firewood alone means that in some regions entire forests disappear. A legion of 5,000 men use more than 8,000 kilos of cereal crops for porridge and bread every day, as well as 50,000 liters of water and 18,000 kilos of fodder just for the animals. Jobs in the military are sought after. The army provides a regular income, chances of a career, and a secure old age provision. But social security has its price. The soldiers live far from home for very long periods. Towns begin to grow around the fortresses, many of which still exist today. Cologne and the city of Koblenz on the Rhine were once small military fortresses. The current state capital of Mainz can also trace its origins back to the Romans, just like Regensburg on the Danube. And wherever they go, the Roman soldiers try to imitate life in their capital. Living in Rome, that's the common dream. It's a metropolis, home of La Dolce Vita, even though the sweet life is only affordable for a small upper class.
Pay attention. Tulia, lend a hand.
This is excellent, as always.
Flavius, bring some more dates.
And more wine. Will you go to the arena tomorrow?
But of course. I've put a lot of money on this Gallic guy.
Yes, the goal.
Oh, you know the tall blonde one.
He's very willing. That's what the wife of the consul told me in confidence.
Oh, tell me more about it.
Well, yesterday I bumped into Titus in the baths. He has this new African who will fight your Gallic gladiator tomorrow.
Yes.
If you ask me, your Gaul has no chance against the African.
You'll see. He'll win.
Tulia, bring us the hair. Go on. Look, have you ever seen anything so blonde? From Germania, for you. Your slave girl makes such fabulous wigs.
They have such beautiful hair, these barbarians.
Yeah, sometimes I envy them. So wild and so free.
Well, ladies, have you had enough?
The rich live in magnificent houses. A little outside town lies Hadrian's Villa, an imperial summer residence with gardens and wells. But most of the millions who live in Rome make ends meet in rental flats. Their remains can still be seen today in Ostia, Rome's harbour town. On the ground floor, there are snack stalls and small shops. People live in small, cramped rooms in the upper stories, without toilet or kitchen. Many of the flats are very expensive, even if they're run down. On the other hand, a quarter of the city is public space, available to all citizens. People meet at the Colosseum, the first multi-story arena. It offers space for 70,000 people and even boasts sun sails. Entrance is free for the poor and bread is distributed. This is a first in history. Every day, public trials are held on the forums. Anyone can come and watch. Temples are also popular meeting places. The Forum is the forerunner of the Piazza. It's where all of Roman society meets. Whether rich or poor, enslaved or free, all layers of society brush shoulders here. There are rich senators, politicians who decide over the fate of the empire, and their wives, the Roman matrons. Numerous prostitutes offer their services in countless brothels. For the Romans, this is completely normal. The majority of the population are simple people. Only a few belong to the privileged upper classes. No matter whether a king, the Senate, or an emperor rules the capital, Rome's social structure hardly changes. At the top of society is the rich nobility, Rome's old families. They occupy top positions in politics and the military. Then come the knights, rich men who make a career in the service of the state or as merchants. Below them, the broad spectrum of the plebeians, the simple populace, mainly workmen and farmers with their families. At the lowest level are countless slaves, men and women who toil tirelessly to support the enormous empire's flourishing economy. Rome has several slave markets. Every week they offer new merchandise. Often they're prisoners of war. Over the course of centuries, around 400,000 slaves come to the capital.
Look, that's real muscle, no? An Iberian slave. Very healthy, no illnesses, very robust, suitable for all work. Just arrived.
Hang on.
Ah, and he is strong.
I'm looking for a slave who can deal with paperwork.
I understand. You don't want a worker, but something for the house. You're in luck. I have just the thing for you. Look. Versatile and able, tough to find these days. And gentlemen, she is also something for the eye. I'll show her to you. Good for work in the house and
That
beautiful.
doesn't fit. No.
Really no? Sit down. I also have a Greek. He might be...
You also have a Greek?
Yes, bring the Greek over. Look at him. He's clever. Something special.
And the price?
A learned slave. 100 sesterces, at least. What do you think?
I'll give you 20.
He speaks several languages fluently and can write them. And he knows something of medicine. Of course. That's the way with Greeks. Okay. Then take him for 50 sesterces.
Here, you can count it.
No, I trust you. Here you go, and lots of luck.
Come, this way.
House slaves are rare. Most work hard on the land, in mines, or in the public baths. On the island of Sicily, in the province of Enna, lies one of the best preserved Roman baths of antiquity. The Villa Romana del Casale, a luxurious estate in the countryside. It's been a World Heritage Site since 1997. I'm standing here in one of the villa's ovens. The slaves constantly added wood to the furnace. That's how the air was warmed and then guided through these ducts into the baths. The hot air flowed inside the villa, below the ground, and also in pipes along the walls, and warmed the entire baths. This part of the villa would be known as hammam in the East. This is where they would look after personal hygiene, very important to the Romans. The mosaics show slaves bringing massage oil to the baths. There are also female slaves to look after women. This is the most famous room in the villa because of the bikini-clad ladies. They were athletes. Some lift weights or throw a discus. These, over here, run. These ones play volleyball. And at the end, there was even a prize giving.
E poi c'è la premiazione.
All this was only possible through one important construction, the aqueduct. It brought water to the villa where it flowed into the baths, but also the kitchens. And it was used to cool the house through many small fountains. Water was always an extremely important element in ancient Rome.
Perché l'acqua è un elemento molto importante.
Rome's ingenious engineers invent the aqueduct, monumental water pipes that are masterpieces of construction. A former director of the Roman Water Authority writes proudly, "Compare the diversity of our constructions with which water is brought here with the useless pyramids or the senseless monuments of the Greeks." 5 long-distance conduits bring water to Rome. Every day, 900 million litres of fresh water reach the city. That's an average of 400 litres per person per day. Fresh water is kept in reservoirs, and from there, pressure pipes bring it to distributor basins in the centre. In every part of town, there are public latrines, where everyone likes to discuss private and business affairs. And the city has several large baths. Over 1,000 fountains and wells are constantly fed with drinking water. The belief of sanum per aquam, meaning health through water, was widespread. Antique pipes still bring water to the famous Trevi fountain. Until the 19th century, the old Roman water system was regarded as the most advanced in Europe. Today, the idea of guiding water to cities has spread right across the world. What the Roman invention led to is demonstrated by modern hydraulic engineers. But the easy life in ancient Rome is only possible because there are hard-working politicians.
What's new? Just the essential things, please.
Unfortunately, there are a few things today that cannot wait. The voting lists for the next election are probably most important. And then there are quite a few new petitions, which are particularly directed at you.
Yes, yes.
The Roman upper class is anything but lazy and decadent. On the contrary, it's hard-working, ambitious, and holds the empire together. Just a few hundred men rule over 60 million people. Just like a modern corporation, a few managers hold the reins of the huge venture Imperium Romanum.
This is not the way. Hurry up.
They're the workaholics of their time, from tax officers or town planners to officials responsible for the distribution of provisions. They also organize the delivery of supplies to the capital. Wine and oil arrive in amphora mainly from Spain. Horses for their army from North Africa, iron from Gaul, amber from Germania, and wool from Britannia. The most important thing, grain, comes from Rome's richest province, Egypt. The land of the pharaohs is the breadbasket of the mighty empire. The Egyptians have been growing corn on the shores of the Nile for thousands of years. Their harvests now go mainly to Rome, where every year around 300,000 tons of grain are used. The concept of bread for the people is a Roman instrument of power. If the people don't suffer from hunger, they'll keep quiet. The politicians know stability in the empire comes from stability at home.
Well, it seems your harvest is much better this year. That will please the prefect.
We'll surely be able to deliver the 100 bushels in August.
It's 300. And Rome's expecting a punctual delivery.
Always Rome. You're insatiable.
Rome. Rome is the world. And never forget, the empire will continue to grow.
In the center of Rome, the 45-meter-high Monte Testaccio is covered in clay shards. It shows just how many people had to be fed. Most foods arrived in clay pots. They were only used once and then thrown away. Over hundreds of years, they created a huge rubbish dump.
Aquí, este ánfora, estos fragmentos.
These are fragments of an African amphora. You can tell because of the fine clay, and they also sound much more metallic. If you take the current weight of this entire mound, which geologists have calculated, and you have to remember that many shards are by now missing, and divide it by the weight of a single amphora, you arrive at so much olive oil that you could feed 1 million people for 250 years with it.
A una población de 1 millón de habitantes durante 250 años.
But to feed 1 million people in Rome alone, the administration has to function like clockwork.
If this goes on, I can't do a thing.
The messengers will be here soon.
I don't want to keep hearing these empty promises. When exactly is the next session of the Senate?
Next week.
And what do we have?
The list of tax receipts arrived early this morning.
How does it look?
Only Egypt has delivered.
That's not enough. That would never suffice. Britannia, Gaul, Mauritania. What about them? Deal with it. Send more messengers, double the riders, and bring me the income.
Running the empire would not have been possible without its elaborate road network. Transport routes are built everywhere, usually by the legionnaires. Over time, the Romans dissect their entire realm with trails and stone roads. The network leads from their capital to the farthest borders, through forests and untouched lands, past legionnaires' fortresses, villages, and towns. The Roman transport system is the result of unparalleled logistics. Goods, people, and messages leave Rome and reach Spain, Britannia, Gaul, Germania, the Black Sea, and northern Africa. Many centuries afterwards, Europe still profits from the antique road network of the Romans. Many of the most important transport links today still follow the roads that once dissected the Roman Empire. The Roman concept of infrastructure and their elaborate logistics laid the foundations for today's complex transport networks. Rome also invests in entertainment. Arenas are built throughout the empire, including the mighty Colosseum, where gladiator fights are regular and hugely popular spectacles. Gladiators are the superstars of Rome. They lead short but exciting lives. They're well looked after at the gladiator school, receive regular massages and the best doctors. And the lucky ones have to fight only 3 times a year. Some even have their own agents, who treat their protégés well. After all, they want to recoup their costs with high prize money. It's big business. Gladiator blood is even traded as a virility treatment, the Viagra of antiquity. And they're a hit with Rome's ladies. They're basically just like today's sports icons. But the Colosseum also had an even darker side. 2,000 years ago, prisoners of war, criminals, Christians, and the celebrated gladiators lose their lives here. Their desperate struggles against each other or against wild animals from distant provinces are deemed high entertainment. Still, the concept of mass entertainment has stayed with us. The difference, putting on bread and games for the people back then, was primarily politically motivated. But in the 21st century, commerce and entertainment rule. The idea is basically the same, even if today's shows are much less bloody and nobody has to die for the entertainment of the masses. Today, footballers are perhaps the biggest stars. In contrast to ancient Rome, they're free. But a lot of money still changes hands for them, and they too are celebrated as heroes. In Rome, captives are brutally exposed to the whim of their owners, but free people enjoy a huge and unusual privilege. They're all equal in the eyes of the law. Every citizen of Rome enjoys Roman civil rights. There are no exceptions. A lawyer usually represents the plaintiff at court. Trial strategies are often discussed at the public latrine.
She cheated on me. Yes, and on my life. More than just once.
We've been here before. The question is, do you have proof? Definite proof?
The whole world knows she cheated on me. It's the talk of the town. And one of the sons she bore after our divorce. He doesn't look like me at all. Is that not proof?
He could be yours nonetheless. We need proof, not hearsay.
I'll explain it to the judge. He'll believe me.
Listen, you need to reach an agreement, or it's going to be a long, expensive trial.
I'll keep her dowry, and you will fight this case for me in court.
It won't be easy. We don't have much to go on, but I'll do everything I can for you. Agreed?
I'll be in touch if I find out any more.
Okay then.
Roman law evolved in order to create order in society and enable a peaceful communal life. Without this order, trade as well as individual lives would have been at risk. The law originated in the mores, the ways of the ancestors. They'd been followed since time immemorial. These traditions gradually became laws, which were then written down.
Alle usanze si affianca la legge, che è la legge scritta.
The Romans are quick to go to trial. Their jurisdiction is public, a pastime for many citizens. Anyone wishing to practice as a lawyer has to train long and hard. But there is no formal schooling, so everything is passed down from experienced lawyers.
Why here? I don't understand what this is about.
Well, show me what you've got. Go.
Romans.
No, posture. Chest out. Again.
Romans.
Louder. You have to draw attention to yourself. And you have to use your arms better. Big gestures are important. Go on.
Romans! Quiet down there!
In order to someday deliver fiery speeches in front of countless onlookers, the voice is trained and rhetoric studied meticulously.
Well, it's all right. But you still have much to learn. And Cicero, he started out small. Daily practice. That's it. Believe me. Come on.
For lawyers to be, Cicero's speeches are considered compulsory reading. Cicero is perhaps the most famous Roman orator. He's the role model for generations of lawyers, because success in court depends on brilliant rhetoric. Trials in ancient Rome are similar to today. Initially, the plaintiff presents his case, which is then considered in the presence of the accused. The judgment is made by the jurors. They have small tablets with the letters A, absolvo, for an acquittal, and C, condemno, for a conviction. Sentences range from monetary fines to exile and even death in the arena. If the vote is split, the principle in dubio pro reo stands. If in doubt, the judgment is for the accused.
Ci sono due tipi di processo.
There are two types of trials. The public trial, for example, in the case of a murder. This is when society punishes the guilty party. It's the citizens themselves who congregate at the forum and sentence the murderer. But when the rights of an individual citizen are violated, for example through theft, the injured party has to appeal directly to the judge and present the case in court.
A doversi recare dal magistrato per chiedere giustizia.
Political crimes are heard by special tribunals in public. But fundamentally, a common legislation applies for all citizens. Nobody is without protection, whether they're rich or poor, men or women. And the women of ancient Rome have more liberties than in ancient Greece. They may have no political power, but they do have civil rights.
Your Honor.
Court is in session.
We are divorced according to the law, although he refuses to pay.
Your Honour, this law is no longer effective in cases of adultery.
Which law applies or not is still down to me. Your Honour, she's had a son who doesn't look anything like him. It can happen sometimes. But in this case...
The boy has blue eyes and red hair. We wanted to show him here, but she refuses to. She has something to hide.
No, I don't. The boy is your son. This man only wants my money.
You have soiled my reputation, and that's why the money is mine.
Can you prove it?
Correct. Without proof, you have nothing. We have 2 witnesses, and where are they? They're still refusing to testify. But not for much longer.
Whatever they say, I will get my money. And now I'd like to go, if I may. I have things to do. Goodbye.
Roman women had more rights and more liberties than the women of ancient Greece, but within certain limits. They have civil rights, but no political power. And they don't have the right to trade. So they're allowed to own a plot of land, but they can't buy or sell it. That's down to her legal guardian, her father. As soon as the paterfamilias dies, the daughter is more self-sufficient. For example, she can get a divorce. But in contrast to the sons who are released from their father's guardianship and become heads of families, the woman always has to answer to her legal guardian. Roman law becomes one of the empire's most significant exports. No other judicial system has had as much influence on later ones. Even today, law students have to study Roman law, since it still forms the framework of state and legal order in modern Europe. And legal systems, following the ancient Roman model, operate right across the world. The United Nations Charter in New York is also based on these ancient principles. But in Roman times, the laws of the conquerors are not often accepted in the provinces without resistance. The fact that the Romans put their laws above local ones is seen as a provocation. But the Roman judicial system is to be established everywhere, especially in the turbulent border regions where revolts are frequent.
I sentence the accused to die on the cross for high treason.
The conquered people in the north of the empire are especially rebellious, but they're not alone. The legionnaires' most dangerous adversaries are the Parthians in what is now Iran. The Picts of present-day Scotland constantly raid the province of Britannia. In the north of Africa, the Berbers make life difficult for the Roman army. But most feared are the Germans. They go to war for the smallest of reasons. The Germans live in cold, almost endless forests, described by a contemporary Roman as a terrifying wilderness. But far more dangerous than the savages from the forest is in fact a Roman legionnaire, Arminius. A German brought to Rome as a child. He learns to speak fluent Latin and knows all about Roman weapons. He even becomes a Roman officer in charge of numerous auxiliary forces in the war against Germania. But the Romans continue to treat Arminius as a second-class citizen. When, after many years, he finally returns to his homeland, he changes sides. Arminius secretly gathers the Germanic tribes. He builds on the widespread anti-Roman sentiment and persuades the tribal leaders to go to war against the occupying forces.
I have fought at their side in Pannonia, and their legions advance well-ordered in rank and file with such force. It's hopeless. We will be destroyed in an open attack.
Then we will attack them on the move. Their columns are drawn out like lindworm for miles through the plain.
But Varus is moving with 3 legions. That's almost 20,000 men. We're inferior to them. We can't attack them everywhere at the same time. But they fear our forests.
Arminius and his new allies lure the Romans into a carefully planned ambush. With success, the soldiers enter the trap, and the Germans sound the attack. In the year 9 after Christ, 3 Roman legions are destroyed at the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. One of the worst defeats the Roman Empire has suffered up to that point. Arminius is declared a hero. He's seen as the liberator of Germania. In the 19th century, a colossal statue is erected in his honor in the Teutoburg Forest, the Hermann Monument. After this costly defeat, the Romans have to pull back once and for all. The Rhine becomes a firm border. And as protection against the savages, Rome builds the limes, the mightiest fortification of its time. It snakes through today's Germany for 550 kilometers. The Roman rulers give up on conquering all of Germania. At the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest, the Romans are forced to remain west of the newly determined borders for the first time. The area to the east remains free. That's where the Germanic tribes live. The Rhine was a clear border, not just militarily, but also culturally. You can still see it today, for example, because the French speak French, a Romance language. And the signs are in Germany too. For example, Trier, with its imposing Roman remains. The Rhinelanders are particularly proud to have enjoyed Roman civilization. The Romans would have said, well, everything here with us is civilized, and over there, on the other side, is the Barbaricum. Or as the Germans would have put it, the Germania Libera, the free Germania.
Aber auch, das hätten die Germanen gesagt, die Germania Libera, das freie Germanien.
The people to the right of the Rhine and the limes are free, but they also live in simple huts in widely scattered small settlements. Anyone unwilling to cooperate with the empire might retain their freedom, but they also live simple, tough lives. That's the price of independence. Millions of barbarians welcome the Romans because of their civilization. Instead of getting stuck on rough, muddy tracks, they enjoy the advantages of new stone roads. People leave their cramped wooden huts in favor of stone houses, some with underfloor heating, a serious advantage in the cold north. With the Roman way of life, the dolce vita also arrives in the provinces. And not least, the Romans bring entertainment to the people in great theaters. Remains of the Roman civilization are still found throughout the former empire today. Magnificent baths and multi-story aqueducts that stretch hundreds of kilometers across the country. Grand theaters in picturesque landscapes and imposing arenas in vibrant metropolises. The way the Romans chisel their culture in stone is a stroke of genius. They don't just leave their mark on Europe, but also in faraway North Africa. Being a Roman province brings many advantages.
Der Vorteil für die Provinzen war,
The advantage for the provinces was the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. And that entailed that the Romans and their strong, superior legal system would guarantee peace over decades, even centuries. They did this by setting up a municipal administration everywhere. It means that the people organized and administrated themselves. In the end, you had a legal system, peace, and the quiet settlement of disputes, but also running water, good technology, good roads, and a well-functioning administration. Things still lacking in some European countries even today. Yet the Roman Empire collapses nonetheless, despite the best army of its time and despite the perfect supply structure for all Roman citizens and their many liberties. It takes time, but Rome perishes. Decadence was often cited as the cause, but that's a myth. Internal power struggles weaken the rule of the emperors. One thing is unclear. Who and under what circumstances will become the imperial successor? From the 3rd century onwards, the problem becomes a permanent crisis. The emperors suddenly have to fight their own soldiers, who themselves want to become emperors of Rome. Now they don't just deploy troops to deal with external enemies, but also internal ones. And on top of the internal crisis, there are outside pressures. The climate changes and triggers mass migrations. In the 4th century AD, Huns, Vandals, and Goths push into the empire's territories. They're searching for better living conditions, and in the end, seal the demise of the superpower. In the 5th century AD, the Roman Empire ceases to exist. But its legacy is huge. Modern Europe not only has to thank Rome for its massive modern sporting events, the idea of organizing society through a well-functioning infrastructure also goes back to the ancient Romans. Even today, the dream of the Roman peace lives on. And our idea of law and order also goes back to the Romans and is present even in the International Court of Justice. And not least It is a Roman emperor who favors Christianity as the official religion. Its foundation as a world religion was laid in Rome.